In July 2019, I started playing Fortnite completely brand new to the game. The earliest recording of any gameplay I could find is here. It's dated 19th of August, 3 weeks after I started playing. Fast forward 6 months, my 90s haven't gotten a lot better, but I have made competitive earnings from the recent Winter Royale Tournaments. But before I get into that, it's important to go back to July when I first started. It was around the time of the Fortnite World Cup, and with someone with no experience of the game, I found the competitive scene captivating. I've always been a huge competitive gaming fan, and the fact that Fortnite was still a very, very new game when you compare it to other esports such as CSGO or League of Legends, it felt like the competitive scene wasn't a million miles away. I could potentially catch up to it. Other esports, like we mentioned, CSGO, League, have professionals in their respective games that have played for almost a decade, putting in 6, 8, even 10 hours a day. Fortnite being only 2 years old and the competitive scene being even less than 2 years old, I figured to pick up Fortnite not because I expected to make money or am expecting to make money, but because I wanted to dive into that competitive scene and it felt like I could potentially catch up. Obviously, I'm still nowhere near to the standard I want to be, but this video is essentially for anyone who wants to know how I managed to practice efficiently within 6 months of starting the game to going top 2500 in the Winter Royale Tournaments. Tip number 1 is to study the meta. Fortnite has a huge meta across the board, so there are more obvious aspects such as gun priority, loot priority, what healing items to take, but I'm talking more specifically about the style of gameplay. So when I first started playing, it was the rise of box fighting. Build fighting was a thing of the past. Box fighting was becoming the meta. To this day, I've probably practiced 5 to 10 hours worth of build fighting, but when you take it to box fighting, I've probably practiced 10 to 20 times of that. Even to this day, I still see people prioritizing build fight practice over box fight, and that's just not where the meta is right now, so it's important to keep up to date with the meta if you are looking to do well. Tip number 2 is focused practice. Try to be objective as possible, understand what you're not as good at, and try to incorporate it into your daily warm-up or practice routine. Prior to the Winter Royale tournaments, my hipfire tracking was close to dreadful, so I decided to fix that by going on Kovacs for about an hour a day for a week, and almost instantaneously I noticed a huge improvement. But focused practice applies to any aspect of the game, so whether it's your editing, building, box fighting, rotating, endgame, whatever it is, try to acknowledge where you're not as strong and work on it. Tip number 3 is to join practice discords and actually make use of them. Discord communities such as FM Pro League, Atlantis Scrims, and IT Customs have an abundance of people looking to play with each other and against each other. Once I had basic mechanics down, I found that playing against people that were better than me served as a rapid improvement strategy. None of my gaming friends from other games switched to Fortnite when I did, so all of the people that I play Fortnite with today come from these discords. So if you are a solo player, I would highly recommend just joining these discords and trying to find people that are at a similar level or even better and just playing against them. Tip number 4 is your mentality. This might be quite an unorthodox tip. Confidence goes a long way in this game. Take Unknown Army, for example. Mechanically, he is obviously very gifted, but when you watch him play, it isn't his mechanics that necessarily shine through. It's his ability to remain calm and confident and remain the aggressor regardless of the situation. This is something I personally need to work on because I find myself in unfavorable situations and I kind of just give up at times. And tip number 5 is consistency. From what I've gathered over the last 6 months, a lot of this game is muscle memory. If you take extended breaks, you will notice a decline in your performance and mechanics. With that being said, it is also possible to overdo it and burn out, so the best of both worlds is to have a warm-up / practice routine that isn't too extensive to do so you can preserve your mechanics but not need to spend an entire day on the game. To draw things to a close, I'll give an example of one of my warm-up / practice routines. I'll start with Kovacs for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's a nice way to get that hand-eye coordination going. I'll then move on to an edit course of some sort, but I like to switch it up. I try not to rehearse any routines. Raider 464 has a bunch of effective ones. I also really like his box fighting map. Once I feel comfortable with my edits, I'll move on to box fighting people off of Discord or just some of my friends. And then that is pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed or found it helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. I'm looking to post a lot more Fortnite content, so subscribe if you haven't already. And until then, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye bye.